What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode of What the French Toast Did I Just Watch? Here's my review for 28 years later. And I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you. I'm adding spoilers to this bullshit. Okay? So, with that being said, straight to the point, the movie kicks off basically about this community, and it focuses on this, father and son duo. And they go about their business. But you're learning and trying to understand how people are currently surviving during the aftermath of the last two installments. So you get a brief synopsis as to what's going on. You're pretty much brought up to date. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna give you for this review. And I'm warning you right now. I really wasn't feeling it after the first 30 minutes. So with that being said, I'm getting straight to it. I'm about to spoil this mess. Okay. Before I spoil it, don't waste your time going to watch this movie because it ain't a zombie flick. It ain't the zombie flick that you expected from what you saw in the trailers. You're not gonna get what you paid for. I'm telling you right now. Save your money. Wait for streaming. But like I've always told you, you ain't gotta take my word for it. You can watch the movie, make sense of it yourself. Especially if you're a big horror movie fan and you like zombie movies, you're gonna be disappointed. As far as the horror aspect, the gore is there, the zombies are still vicious, but you're not gonna get what you paid for. You're not gonna get what you paid for. So with that being said, I'm about to spoil this mess. I'm really about to spoil it. So if you don't want the spoiler and you want to go ahead and check the movie out, get off my channel, go watch the movie. Then you come back, watch my review, or, post, share your thoughts. Post your comments, share your thoughts. So I'm going to spoil it. 3, 2, 1, here we go. The movie takes place, and I'm only going to point out the significant parts, right? So you got a father and son, pretty much the Rick and Carl, Walking Dead. You get a little bit of that, right? Father takes his son out and teaches him how to survive. He's teaching him how to kill zombies. And the mom is sick. And you get a brief glimpse of the community. They living on this remote island, far from everything. And I mean, the best thing about it is every so often the tide rises and it goes up and down. And that's the only way. If you ain't got a boat, that's pretty much the only way by foot you're going to get there. And so father, being a father, takes his son out, teach him how to hunt zombies, teach him how to survive. He's learning. And they had their moments, and he's killing some couple of fat bloated zombies out in the woods. You can only kill them in the neck, the head, or kill them in the neck, shoot them in the head. They say the head and the heart, certain zombies, right? They categorize this mess. All these different zombies. They even got alphas out there, which I'm gonna get to. So, after the father takes his son out and they out, just wandering around, they meet up with the fast zombies. And, pretty much they see the alpha at the top of the hill. They see one of the zombies coming out there, and then the alpha gives them the signal, and then they getting chased down. So they see this little shack, this little ran down house out in the field, and they sit there for a couple of hours to try to wait it out because the alpha ain't playing. He's supposed to be like the ringleader, the smartest ones, the big dogs. They the giants out there. And when I tell you this movie is graphic, the zombies out there butt ass naked. The zombies out there, they swinging, Tata muffins free. They out there, they swing ding-a-ling, and all the zombies is out there butt naked. The females, the males, they out there naked, and they dirty, they nasty, and they growling, and they fast. So they wait it out. They go to sleep, and with all the wildlife running around, the house collapses. So now they're gonna take a chance and run for it, right? So they make a break for it, and the alpha male, is hot on their heels at this point, and they barely made it back to the island. They barely made it back to their little community. The townsfolk, was throwing the arrows down at the alpha male. So for them to return back, everybody's celebrating the kid. His name's Spike. You know, father hyping him up that he did his thing out there, killing the zombies, and everybody celebrating that the little man went out there and did his thing. So in the midst of him celebrating, he had a little bit of liquor. Can't handle that. He go off and he see his father off in the cut doing his thing. He got himself a little side piece. He got himself a little side piece, and I guess it's expected during an apocalypse. When you out there doing your thing, some people just gonna step off and do their thing. Some people gonna be loyal, and some people gonna be like, hey, I got to get it off one time, and that's what he was doing. So the next morning, Spike is mad at his pops because he's cheating on his mother, and because he was upset, and mom ain't doing too good. The young man decides to take it upon himself to embark on a journey, and he takes his mom with him, which is not a safe thing to do. So he manipulates the town folks to saying, it's a little fire on the other side of the camp. Y'all got to hurry up and put the fire out. And so to get back at his father, for doing this thing with the side piece, he takes his mom out of the bed, and they embark on their own little journey because he hears the tales of a doctor that's out in the woods, living amongst the zombies, living all in the wilderness, living in isolation by himself. And he got a reputation for being a little cuckoo, being a little off, like the elevator ain't going all the way up to the top floor. So this little boy, he was warm, but he's like, you know what, I want to see for myself. And he's mad at his dad. So he go take his mom out, which isn't safe, and they embark on this little journey. And so the little bit of zombie action that you're going to get is basically within the first 30, 45 minutes of the film where the father takes his son out. So now, during this little journey, mom and son, they're having a little moment. Their first night camping, the son goes to, call himself, the son basically just dozed off. He want to be the man, but he dozed off. He's supposed to be, taking a night watch while mama taking a nap and stuff. And he pretty much dozed off, and one of the little fat zombies, come creeping up on him, sliding on the stomach, creeping up on him, chewing on the shoelaces, and he really wasn't feeling it. So somehow the little boy snaps out of his little dream, but you kind of figured out that the mother at some point gets up and saves him. She put a little trash bag over top of the zombie, start bashing his head in. So now they're going to continue on with their little journey. So after that, you get like another 10 minutes of some zombie action. You see this little military unit, little squad. They being chased by the butt naked zombies. They fast, they hot on their trails, and they down in this little the sewer down in the dam. And they run into one of the alphas down in the sewer. After they, waste all their ammo trying to shoot these mammals, and pretty much it wasn't but like 3 of these cats left, but only one made it out. So because the alpha's way too much. So now we going back to mom and little Spike having their moment, sitting in the field with bootleg Temu sunflowers all over the place, playing around, mom hallucinating. Her brain in and out, it ain't functioning properly. And so the son, he see one of the little malnutrition zombies, look like he ain't ate in a minute, start rising up, and a little bonus, the little frail zombie kind of resemble what's that actor's name? Cillian Murphy. The dude that plays Scarecrow, the one from the very first 28 Days Later. All right, he kind of resembles him a little bit, but I didn't stay long enough to see who was who because I walked out of that mess when the credits start rolling. So in continuing, um, the son puts an arrow on this malnutrition zombie, and then all the rest of them, they hear the screams. The screams is like to alert the rest of them within range, within proximity, and when they hear that scream, they run to the noise. So now, son, Spike gets his mother, and they hop into it, and they try to seek refuge at this little rundown Shell gas station. So you getting another 5 minutes of a little bit of zombie action. Um, they got themselves going inside the gas station. They finally made it in because it's locked down. After they're forcing themselves in, there's chemical floating all through the air. Some purple chemical floating through the air, and it's unbearable. They can't breathe through the mess, and it's affecting the zombies too. Zombies going in there looking for them, and the Lone Ranger. Remember the Lone Ranger, the one that survived the sewers from the Alpha male. He tells them get down, and he throws little he's up on the roof. He opens up this little sunroof, tells them get down, and he throws some flames down on the bottom, trying to save them, right? And he saves them. They should have been dead, but they survived. Somehow they survived. They survived the flames. I don't know how, but they survived the flames. All the other zombies were extra crispy, but they survived the flames. So they introduced each other. I didn't care too much of what the leftover troop name was because I had a feeling he wasn't gonna last long anyway. So it was a little bit of banter. He was, he having his little sarcasm moments, and him and the boy and the mom, they trying to learn from each other, and along the way, he's helping the boy carry the mom. He's strong enough to tote her around. So they having their moments, being sarcastic, trying to get to know one another and stuff. And the little boy says, "Hey, I'm looking for this doctor. He can help her." And the soldier's like, "You're wasting your time. You need to find something better." Trying to tell this dude something, but the little man ain't listening. Spike ain't listening. So somehow, they make another little pit stop, and they sitting around eating a bunch of apples, and they have another little cheesy moment, a little bit of bantering back and forth, the soldier and everything. So after their little 30 seconds of rest, they talking some more, trying to get to know each other, and somehow, this little moment reminded me of when Superman flew around the Earth because we lost some time. At some point, Mom got 300 feet ahead of them while they sitting there talking. They not paying attention. The mother was moving like a turtle. Now she fast. She high stepping. She walking fast, like she way ahead of them, and she sees this abandoned train. She heard these little screams. She don't hear no screams, but she heard this little noise. She's drawn to the noise inside the train, and the Spike and the soldier, they try to catch up with her, and so Moms gets up in there, and she, this is where some more of the foolishness, right? A pregnant zombie. Okay, she in there hot butt naked, and she about to drop that baby. So she in there, the zombie in there freaking out, doing what the zombie doing, raging, and they start having a little peaceful moment. So the zombie, she stick her hands out to let the zombie know she ain't no threat, right? So now they holding hands, and the zombie, mama zombie, Prego, she gonna squat. She doing a little Jackie Chan squat. She can pop that baby out like that, right? And the little joint, he squeezed out all the blood and juices and stuff coming up out that thing. Like I said, the movie's graphic. You see the birth, and she cleans the baby. They cut the umbilical cord, and I'm just sitting there waiting for it because I'm like, what are we doing? Like, who cares that this zombie is giving birth? Who cares, right? But you know, yeah, I guess every movie got to have their little dumb moment, And this movie pretty much had quite a few. So I'm sitting there waiting for it, and you knew it was going to happen. Mama Zombie starts freaking out as soon as the umbilical cord cuts. It was a small little moment, and then she lunges for the mother, and the soldier shoots the zombie in the head. So now the soldier is like, "Look, get rid of the baby, or I'm killing all of y'all." Right? And Mama's like, "Nah, Spike is like, the baby's not infected. They wanna save the zombie baby. The baby's not affected. Nobody ain't got no type of equipment to check the DNA, the chromosomes of the baby. Nobody ain't got no equipment to do no blood tests, nothing. Because however, apparently you can get affected now by the zombie. A zombie can spit on you, fart on you, cough on you, and you're gonna be affected. But in this case, we gonna hold this baby, and they standing and they got their mind made up. And the soldier's like, look, get rid of the baby now, or I'm getting rid of all of y'all. At this point, I guess the alpha, he's supposed to be the baby daddy. My man grabs the soldier and did the predator fatality. That's pretty much the alpha move for all of them. They got this habit where they like ripping your skull out, your spine. They do the predator fatality, that's kind of like their way of holding the trophy. They keeping their kill or whatever. So this little boy at this point, he's struggling, shooting these little arrows, and the arrows ain't having an effect on the zombie. And they finally run into the doctor. The doctor saves him. He's using these little tranquilizer darts. They only do enough to stop him, to put him down. The dart apparently causes them to go to sleep. And yeah, he dubbed the alpha Samson. So Samson is just standing there asleep, like he's gone, he's out of it. But he's standing straight up with arrows, looking like a porcupine, right? So they follow the doctor back to his little his place of where he be sleeping at his base of operations, and he got a whole cemetery. He got skulls stacked up on these columns all over the place, and it's pretty much like he find their bodies, and he incinerates the body but preserve the skulls, and he's got skulls all over the place on these, pretty much what you see in the poster. They all over the place. He created shrines. They everywhere, stacked up on these columns. And so, based on his diagnosis, he does an assessment on mom, and he tells, both of them that, well, on your symptoms, based on your symptoms, sound like you got cancer, and you're not gonna live long. You're gonna kick the bucket soon. So, the boys start, having this moment. Mom consoles him, and they still got the baby. Yeah, they still got the baby. Mom to clean the baby up, and the doctor was like, we got to feed the baby water or something, but they still got the baby. And straight to the point, man. They do enough to try to calm the boy down. So the doctor goes around the corner with the boy's mother, with Spike's mom, and he pretty much he hits her with one of the his special juice, his tranquilizer, the sedative, and he puts it down. And he comes back moments later with his mother's skull, tells the boy, find a place for your mother. This boy climbs all the way up to the top of this big stupid skull shrine and puts his mother at the top. And prior to that, the soldier skull that that he befriended, that saved him, he cleaned his skull too and found a spot for him at the bottom of the burrow, but he put his mother all the way at the top. So anyway, the doctor is talking to this boy, and he pretty much let him know that, hey man, you wasted your time coming up here because I ain't got nothing to save nobody. He just got enough to save himself, and if anybody hanging with him, then he could just only do enough to save himself and a little bit of people around him because he got limited resources, and he got himself covered with some type of chemicals that irritates the hell out of the zombies. Like the zombies can't stand being around him. So that's how he was able to survive so long in the wilderness amongst all of those crazy, toxic, fat, nasty, butt naked, all that porn zombie stuff out there in the woods. That's how he was able to survive all of that. with himself being doused, covered up with all this zombie blood and all these chemicals. So the zombies, it messes this messes up their sensory of smell. So they can't stand being around him. Like they don't even know that he's there. They walk away from him. They don't want to be around it. They don't like certain chemicals. And so Samson catches up with him, and I guess nobody wants to put two and two together, but I think Samson won his child back, and so they hide in this little thing in the ground, and Samson finds a way to get his hands on the doctor, and the boy puts another dart on his forearm, leaving him, laying around sleep, and the doctor tells him, "Hey man, take the baby, going back home. That's it. Finish the journey, going back home." So the boy, it took him a minute to get back to the island, and took him a while to get back to the community. He leaves a note and leaves the baby hanging on this little, the little basket you get at the Dollar Tree, Dollar General, them little small little baskets. He had the little baby inside the basket, and fortunately, the baby didn't make noise during the journey, but it seemed like prior to all of that mess, all that bantering and stuff in the woods, there was no zombies. Um, Miraculously, there were no zombies in the woods to hear all that foolishness, with all that noise they was making, drawing attention to them. So anyway, so now we near to the end of the movie. The boy leaves a note, and he's narrating what he wrote on a note, the letter to his dad. And the townspeople, the community, they find that the baby hanging on the gate, the front gate, and the father's reading the note, and the father is like call himself trying to rush out there to catch his son, but it's too late. The tide already rose up, blocking the footpath. So now this boy is out on his own doing his thing, and a few days went by. So he sharpened up a little bit. He upgraded a little bit on his skills, and he comes across some runners, some zombies, and he kills a couple of them. Where he runs to this dead end of the pile of rocks, and so before I get to that part with the pile of rocks, at the very beginning of this movie, which I left out and I skipped it, the very beginning of this movie, when it opened up, all the little kids sit in the living room. They're watching Teletubbies, and the mother comes in there and tells them, "Y'all need to shut, be quiet. Sit there, be quiet. Don't open the door. Just be quiet." But it's always one that ain't going to listen. It's always one that ain't going to listen. So the little boy goes up to the door. And I'm going to get back to the part with Spike, but I left out the very, very, very beginning. So the kids are sitting around watching Teletubbies, and the boy, he ain't listening to, whoever this woman was, put the last child in the room. He ain't listening, because it's a whole bunch of commotion going outside the door, outside the living room, the door, where all you can hear growling, you can hear people getting their asses whipped, right? Like they literally get mutilated outside the door. But he couldn't help himself. He goes to the door. Hello? Hello? The zombies breach the perimeter. They go in there. Rest in peace to all the little kids that were sitting in the living room watching Teletubbies. They gone except for the one kid. He rushes to the church, and his father's like this priest, a pastor, right? Church leader. And he tells us, trying to warn his dad, "Look, man, these zombies are coming." And the zombies find their way in, crashing through the windows and stuff, and they come up in the church and they kill the father. But before the father meets his demise at the zombies, he takes off his gold chain, got the cross on it, gives it to his son. The son hides down in the floor of the church, and the zombies leave the church, and miraculously he makes his way out. So it cuts from there. You see the title of the movie, 28 years later. Now we with Aaron Taylor Johnson and his son going off into the woods, and he teaching his son Spike how to hunt. So now, continuing back where I left off, Spike is running away from the remaining zombies, and he's trying to be wise with the arrows, and he runs to the pile of rocks, and he sees this guy, this dude got the chain on, and so now you recognize the chain from the beginning of the movie. You recognize the chain from the beginning of the movie, and you're like, oh man, that's the little kid that got all the that's the dude that got all the kids killed watching Teletubbies. His father gave him the chain, right? And he got on a breakdancing outfit. They dressed up back in the 80s. They got on a breakdancing outfit. He's like, hey man, can we join in on the fun? Can we join in on the kill? And he's like, yeah, sure. So then his homies show up. They got on breakdancing outfits too. Everybody got on different colors, red, black, blue. They got on red and blue sweatpants, and he got on black, but you notice the medallion, the cross, and it's just a callback from the beginning of the movie. That's the kid from the beginning of the movie that survived, and he got a group. And basically these are this the parkour game. They doing flips, they running up the side of the rocks and stuff, they doing flips, they throwing trash bags and sandwich bags on top of these zombies, and they bashing them upside the head. They playing with them. They are literally toying around with these zombies. They on some Spider-Man stuff. They flipping, doing some old Power Ranger ish all over the place. They jumping all over the place, and it's fun and games to them, right? It's all fun and games till you get bit, but it's it was a little go Power Rangers moment with them flipping and running up walls and stuff, throwing putting trash bags on the zombies and smacking them upside the head, killing them, and then that's it. That's the end of the movie. That's it. That's the end of the movie. That's the end of the movie. So you getting drama. The movie, I appreciate the first 30 minutes of the film, but for the rest of the movie, it was a complete mess. It's kind of like, when somebody presents the wedding cake or the birthday cake, and somebody put all that hard work into it, and at some point, as soon as they prop it up on the table for a presentation, somebody comes over there and knocks the cake over, messes up everything. So basically, that's how this movie was. You only getting a little bit of zombie action. You only getting a little taste of zombie action. But for the rest of the movie, you're not getting nothing but you're sharing this journey with this little boy and his mother, and you're experiencing the mother's symptoms of her illness, and that's it. That is it. You're not getting no full blown zombie movie. You're not getting a zombie movie like you would expect, as you would expect. You're not getting that. And I went in there with open mind. And the movie lost me after as soon as the boy got a little attitude and about his father messing around, and he went on this little journey, and I was like, all right, that's when the movie turned into something else. But that's it, man. That's all I got for y'all. That's it. Seen the movie already? Post your comments down below. Post your thoughts. Say your thoughts. Share what you like, what you didn't like. Say what you need to say. New to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Spread the word. Hit that notification bell to be updated on more content. Be good to each other. Be kind. Do your best to try not to make little mistakes for permanent damage, like this little boy did. But I guess at some point he, the character kind of cleaned it up. But apparently, this movie is supposed to be the start of a new trilogy, and including with a TV series. So if you want to see a good zombie movie, I would refer you to some of the George Romero flicks. Dawn of the Dead remake, maybe the first two, 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. You're a horror fan. You can check it out if you want. Make something out of it. Make sense of the movie for yourself. You're going to get some gore. You're going to get the gore. You're going to get the graphic kills. You're going to get all of that. But As far as, the entire movie, you're not getting a zombie movie. The movie is more drama. You better off sitting in the house binge watching The Walking Dead, because that's what this movie is. I mean, it should have just been a sitcom. Anyways, peace.